My dog is being a rascal today, as always. So I was talking with, is that guy sliding or, that was weird. So I went to lunch, so focus. I went to lunch with somebody who helped me organize the GoFundMe account for me after the accident. Not my accident, but the accident that I helped that man in, helped save that man's life last year. And he asked me if I wanted to become a motivational speaker. Not that he's offering the opportunity or anything, but like often I found that those things don't come like that. You need to step into it. And I certainly believe in myself, and I'm certainly authentic enough to do it. So, and I know a lot about a lot, mainly grief and like mental health issues. You know, I just thought I would speak on some of that right now, because a lot of people are dealing with, you know, depression and anxiety in, you know, the Christmas time, and it's hard. It's harsh. Like, it's not easy. You know, there's a lot of family drama. There's a lot of things that go on, that go on that are just really hard to deal with. And, you know, even though I don't have any family now, I'm well versed in the bullshit that goes on, you know, within ourselves. And also, would you please take a seat? And also, you know, within the family dynamic, it can be really rough. And, you know, especially around Christmas time, you know, the pressure of buying presents and like all this kind of stuff, it can be overwhelming and really difficult to deal with. I love you, but you're not going to push me around right now. She's going to try me though. No, we already got out, and we're not going to get all muddy all over again. The car's already a filthy mess. No! Stop right now. Stop. Stop, boo-boo. Stop, yeah. Shh. And it can be really, really rough to deal with depression when you're on your own, and really the only solutions that you're given are to take a bunch of medication that, in my humble opinion, I mean, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a psychiatrist, however, having been through 10 years of medication, and this was back in my 20s, but like it nearly destroyed me. And nobody was there to tell me to believe in myself. Nobody was there to tell me that things were going to be okay, and the things that I needed to use to heal. Nobody was doing that. You know, the whole mental health care system is not set up to teach you how to heal yourself. It's set up, frankly, to keep you sick. Because, you know, doctors don't make money off of people that are well, right? So, you know, and then the other aspect of that I fell into was, you know, the religious aspect of it, because I really do believe, from my own personal experience, as well as seeing so many others. I mean, I've worked for Mental Health Association. Excuse me. I worked for National Alliance for Mentally Ill. I facilitated dual diagnosis support groups for approximately 3 years, and with the Fellowship Club here in Santa Barbara County. And, you know, I had done a lot of public speaking before that. So, you know, for me to speak out on things is part of my job as a healer. And also, it's just really, you know, it's just really helpful to have someone who understands what the heck is actually going on, and has gotten out of those traps. And I don't advocate that anyone stop taking their medication. I don't advocate anything, really. Just, you know, hear me out. So when I was in my 20s, well, around the age of 15, my mom marched me in, and this was after a couple years of just horribleness, depression, and what appeared to be manic, you know, like that. Not so much the lows, but the highs, you know, the like high energy, you know, and like without any explanation, really. I was 15. My mom marched me into one of the local psychiatrist's office, and I was diagnosed with bipolar disorder. And that's not really what I was dealing with. However, that's what exhibited itself. And going off of, here, let me get your jacket off of you. That'll probably cool you down. After, you know, exhibiting some of the symptoms, you know, which is what psychiatrists and doctors go off of, is, Come here, Moo. I can't get it off of you. You know, they go off the symptoms. They really can't go off of anything else. And so, you know, with that, sorry, Boo, I can't. I'm having a hard time getting it off. Here. You know, they were really trying to help me, but you know, their tools are very limited, and the training is very limited. You know, I went through a lot of talk therapy. I remember talking to one therapist who told me basically to shut up and stop whining, and not in so many words. He wasn't being cruel or rude, you know, to me. Really what he was saying was, you know, stop dumping all of your, you know, emotional turmoil on other people and deal with it yourself. And which was a very powerful thing to learn. And at the time, you know, I understood what he was saying, and at the same time it was harsh. You know, it was hard to deal with because I was 15. Literally, like I didn't, you know, I was attending college. I didn't have any I didn't really have the skills yet to deal with some of the things that I was having to deal with. And my mother, you know, a single parent, she didn't have the skills to help me either. And so, you know, we fell down the rabbit hole of psychiatry. 616 on the clock when I said that. So, you know, I struggled for a long time. I went through about half a dozen very serious suicide attempts or unaliving attempts, all due to the medication that I was on. And at the time, nobody had put the black box label on there yet, saying that, you know, this medication might make things like 10 times worse. Yeah, it just wasn't there. The information wasn't there. And because I was a minor, I didn't have the you know, the legal power, so to speak, to speak for myself. I mean, was speaking for myself, but you know, like, you just don't have that authority yet because you're not old enough, kind of thing. And, you know, I do believe that our parents, you know, hopefully your parents have your best interests in mind. And at the same time, they're limited too. They're limited by, you know, what they're told and how they understand the issue. So, please. So, you know, it was really hard. I mean, what that did to my family, the unaliving attempts, you know, did to my family, and you know, the things that it did to my body. I mean, that medication ruined my teeth to this day. I have terrible teeth. And, you know, the dry mouth that it caused. So, I mean, it caused a lot of systemic issues for me that made my life harder overall. And, you know, although now I don't deal with any depression, I don't deal with any anxiety, like not even a little bit. No toxic stress. Like I'm, you know, a really healthy person. And, you know, I would say, like, but it took me a long time to heal. It took me a long time to figure out how to do it on my own. Because, you know, after I was, you know, sexually violated by two men, who were residents in my apartment complex. It was Housing Authority of Santa Barbara. After that happened, I was just thrown to the wolves. I mean, I was thrown to the streets, and literally nobody cared. Nobody cared. You know, my family was still alive at the time, but like all my family's dead now. But, you know, I really had to take a look at, like, what was I going to do? Because the mental health system completely failed me. There was nowhere else to turn. I didn't have a regular therapist to go to. I had been, you know, facing homelessness and a lot of the issues involved with that, like, you know, poverty and, you know, just getting food and gas for my car, and, you know, what was I going to do, kind of thing, and people treating me badly, and, you know, like the abusive nature of, you know, law enforcement and other people on the streets. I was dealing with a lot, and I was also dealing with an enormous amount of grief because I had lost 12 people. They died in less than 6 years. Is that a duck? Anyway, that's weird. So I was really, like, lost. And what I realized, you know, quickly, and it, you know, it was a hopeless feeling when I realized this. I realized really quickly that nobody could help me. Nobody knew how, you know, and because nobody knew how, you know, I felt completely lost. I felt totally, like, I felt like my world was over. Really, that's how I felt. And I didn't know where to turn. You know, shortly after that, I had an accident. Well, it wasn't my accident. I came upon an accident on the 154 highway here in Santa Barbara County, and I helped save a man's life, just because, you know, I had experienced so much loss that there was no way, if there was anything I could do, 10:10 on the clock when I said that, if there was anything I could do to keep this man from dying, that I was going to do that, you know. And then, you know, shortly after that, I was given a car, you know, the car that I'm driving right now, and a GoFundMe account was started, you know, that accumulated quite a bit of money very quickly because of the news footage and everything. And, you know, that gave me hope. At least it gave me some breathing space. It gave me the freedom to do some of the things that I needed to do. So I went on a 30-day road trip. I spent an enormous amount of money on gas and firewood. I remember it was in Humboldt for a week. And I mean, I think I spent like $500 on firewood because it was so cold. It was in the middle, I mean, it was the middle of December, so it was freezing cold. And so I came back to Santa Barbara, and I didn't know what to do. I still had a very broken heart. And, you know, I know what, you know, like medically killed my mother and my younger brother. But it didn't, that's not what it said on their autopsy report. But I knew that a broken heart had killed them. And so I knew that my heart was very, very shattered, like in pieces, tattered and a mess. And I knew that I was really the only one that could help me. And that, you know, it was both empowering and scary, and also like a hopeless, like, oh my God, what the fuck kind of feeling. And I just thought, you know, this is it. And the only thing I had left was my dog, my car, me, and God. That was it. And I'm not saying in some religious aspect. I am not a religious person. I don't really, I mean, I appreciate that religion taught me a lot, but at the same time, it's not what saved me. What saved me was my faith, was choosing faith over fear. End of story. That's it. No, you know, there was nothing else that, you know, the system of control that is religion did not save me. That's not what saved me. So I got back to Santa Barbara, and I spent January, February, and March fasting. Almost the entire time. I fasted for over 60 days. And again, I'm not advocating or like telling anyone what to do. I'm just telling you what I did. And I went up the mountain, and I fasted, and I prayed, and I read my Bible every day, and not just my Bible, but all kinds of other books. You know, this is one of my favorite books too, Lost Books of the Bible. Like, they're not actually lost, but, you know, they're not canonized. They're not in the regular Bible. And like the Book of Enoch, like a lot of things, you know, I read. Upanishads, Vedas. I mean, I have a soft spot for all spiritual teachings in my heart. And I basically said, like, Lord, here I am, you know, because Christianity was my way of, you know, relating to the spiritual world and metaphysical world. Oh, excuse me. Excuse me. And so I did that, and before I knew it, excuse me, I was experiencing an enormous amount of joy that I had never felt. I didn't think it was possible. I didn't believe that that was possible for me. I had never really felt joy for any sustained amount of time in my whole life. Never. I had never experienced it. So this to me was a miracle, 100%, and it still is, in my humble opinion. I didn't have any reason to want to live. I didn't have any family. I had no friends. The couple people that had promised to be like supportive to me were not. They left me, they abandoned me. So like, you know, I kept getting triggered with PTSD and like all kinds of complex PTSD issues. And I, you know, although I had read books on complex PTSD and this and that and the other thing, none of them were telling me how to heal it. You know, they were telling me how it worked and, you know, fundamentally like what I was dealing with, but they didn't teach me how to deal with it and how to heal from it. Nothing. So I was, you know, but when I started experiencing that joy, I thought to myself, what is this? That's how foreign joy was to me. That's how foreign being free of, you know, depression and anxiety was to me. I didn't even think it was possible, really. I didn't believe that it was. I didn't have any reason to believe that it was. And so when this happened to me, I thought, this is gold. You know, I've got to tell other people how to do this and how to, you know, how to attain this. And I thought, well, you know, people are probably not going to listen to me, but like, you know, I could tell them what I did and hope that it helps them. you know, and after going through all the things that I had been through, I realized very quickly that I had a wealth of knowledge and wisdom to bestow on others if they would listen, you know, and, you know, perhaps save their lives. I know that there have been times in my life that things were really dark and really confusing and really scary, and it was just those couple things that somebody had said to me years ago that were like running through my head in those dark times, and those things saved my life. Like, that person wasn't there for me to thank and all of that, but like, that person saved my life. And so, you know, that's part of the reason why I spoke on things and why I keep speaking on things, is because you never know. You just never know. My mother used to tell me when I was younger, you know, when you throw a positive, you know, pebble into a pond, you never know how far out the ripples go. And she was right. You know, you might just make someone's day a little bit brighter. You might give someone some hope, or you might actually save someone's life. So, you know, I make it my business to do things like that, to speak up about things that other people think about all the time, but they don't say, you know, that they won't like be honest and real about. And I have a real gift for authenticity. So, you know, and you know, there's nothing that I'm ashamed of. So things I'm not necessarily proud of, but like, you know, not ashamed at all. And, you know, we need people that are brave like that to speak out about things that are really difficult to deal with. They're really hard for most people to deal with. And, you know, the stigma surrounding mental health issues and grief, you know, healing from grief and all that kind of stuff, it's almost impossible. So after going through like some bereavement counseling, you know, which actually showed me how much I had healed myself, and you know, I thought that I needed this bereavement counseling, and actually that's not what I needed, but it was good. It was a good test, or like litmus test of showing me how much I had already healed on my own. Excellent. So, you know, that helped, and I actually helped the bereavement counselor that I was talking to. So after going through all that, you know, I remember I came down the mountain during it was Mother's Day, and I went to lunch. Was invited to lunch at one of the family's homes from one of the churches I'd been attending, and I told them what I had been doing. You know, they asked me what I was doing up on the mountain, and I said, no, I was healing my broken heart. And because that's exactly what I was trying to do. That was the only goal I had. I wasn't trying to do anything else, just heal my broken heart. And, you know, nature was a huge part of grounding me through that, because, you know, if you don't have faith, or you don't have those other things to ground you, there's got to be something else to ground you. And nature is a great way. If you're not a person of faith, you know, nature has a way of showing you how the cycles of things keep moving, and that you can keep moving too. You know, it's kind of like if you see a squirrel like stacking up nuts for winter, you know, you figure that little squirrel is like completely on its own. You know, if they can do it, you can do it too. And it's things like that that start to show themselves and give you faith in yourself again. And so by silly fly, you know, by holding on to the things that I knew would help me, like my dog and nature and God, and, you know, I healed myself. And it was incredible, the amount of joy that I've been able to, you know, to attain and maintain for long periods of time is nearly like, I thought it was impossible. And a lot of people look at me and they're like, well, you know, you're homeless and all that. I'm like, yeah, but I'm happier probably than you. More than likely I am. And more healed, more balanced, and all of that than like most people in the world, unfortunately. Sad but true. So, you know, when you realize how priceless joy is, and how priceless having that peace of mind is, you start believing in yourself again. And when you believe in yourself, really nothing can stop you, you know, that, and nothing and no one, you know, their crappy opinions, or, you know, whatever it is that's unsupportive, or, you know, like just basically toxic, you know, and it just can't stop you. And that's a really powerful testimony to have. And you know, now it's about a year that I've been completely healed from all of these things. Enormous amounts of grief. And you know, like basically I I lost my mind after my younger brother died. I did. I mean, I lost it. When my mother died, I remember when my mother died, I laid in bed. I actually had a place to live at that time. But I laid in bed for about 3 months, and I couldn't move. I couldn't move. I was physically in so much pain. I dragged a bucket because I wasn't eating. So I dragged a bucket to the side of the bed, and I was peeing in the bucket. Not like a pretty sight, but that's what happened. That's what it was. It was ugly. It wasn't pretty. There wasn't anything glamorous about it. And it was harsh. It was really hard. I was dating a man at the time, but he was not there for me at all. Not at all. I mean, I didn't have anybody with me. I was just me. And that was before I had my dog. I was 100% on my own, as far as the other human beings being supportive. I thought I was going to die. Like, between my lack of will to continue and the lack of support that I had, and, you know, the abandonment issues that I was still dealing with, and the unhealed, you know, mommy and daddy issues that I was still dealing with, I didn't think I was going to live. I mean, I had every reason to believe, oh, you stupid fly. I had every reason to believe that I wasn't going to live through that. And yet I lived. After about 3 months, I was able to at least get up. And that in and of itself was a miracle. And, you know, then, like, the cascade of deaths continued. Ew, Jesus, gross. Ugh. The cascade of deaths continued. And I remember one, you know, it was, you know, a couple years ago, 2 years ago now, my best friend died in like middle of September. I think it was September 11th. And, God, that stupid fly. Are you kidding me? Get out. Sorry. She died of cancer, and her body was just eaten. I mean, it was a mess. Then my great aunt, who is, I was very close to, 22:11 on the clock when I said that, whom I was very close to, she died on October 4th, 10/4. And then shortly after that, on December 20th of 2021, my youngest brother died, and I raised him. So it was, you know, the closest thing that I had to losing a child of my own, as well as losing my youngest brother. And I mean, that's when I was okay. I wouldn't say I was okay, but I was surviving up until that point, and then I lost it. Like, I lost it. I had so many hardcore spiritual experiences that I literally felt like I was losing my mind. And then on top of that, I was dealing with a lot of stalking and identity theft, and all kinds of bullshit was going on, because there were people trying to steal the home, and they were in fact successful. They stole the home that I was living in from the man that I had been working for. So I lost my home. I had lost everybody. Everybody was dead. And then my youngest sister, who is still alive, but we don't talk at all. We do not get along. She's done some really horrible things to me. And I dealt with my mom's mental illness. I mean, I dealt with a lot. And all of this was going on. And then, I ended up homeless, living in my car with my dog. And, I had no reason to believe that I was going to survive that either. And, it looked, stop, yeah. By all accounts, it was impossible. Even myself, I mean, I would have said it was impossible. I never would have said that it was possible, let alone probable, that I could heal. And not only that, but heal myself and then remain healed. Never. While I was up the mountain and I fasted for over 2 months, I quit smoking. And yes, I know you saw me smoking cigarettes. I smoke occasionally now. It's the first pack of cigarettes I bought. Stop. It's the first pack of cigarettes I bought in a month. And rather than smoking because I'm addicted to cigarettes, I smoke when I want to, because I genuinely do. I genuinely do enjoy smoking. I always did, which is the reason why I did it. But it's very different to come at it from an aspect of not being addicted to it, from a totally different aspect of, like, enjoying something and actually wanting to have a cigarette every once in a while. Totally different perspective. Hey, stop. Stop. Stop it. You're being a rascal. Stop. I'm gonna whack you with the water bottle. Knock it off. Waka waka. What? Waka 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 waka. She's so cute when she tilts her head like that. Stop it, waka waka. Stop it, waka waka, boobas. Stop. Love my dog. Stop, meow. So there. Now you have something stuck on your head. What? Sorry, but it's too funny. You're being a rascal. Stop it, rascally rabbit. So, in dog and God I trust. So, it really wasn't until I started talking to other people about what I had done for myself that I started to realize that, I actually had a very uncommon and, kind of mystical story. Although it's all rooted in a lot of science and, a lot of medical fact and everything, like I could prove what I'm talking about. At the same time, there were a lot of things that happened that were just like so uncommon and so weird. The way they came about, it wasn't the actual thing that happened. It was the way that it happened was just, it was mystical. It was a very mystical experience. And, so, like I said, it wasn't until I started talking to other people about what I had done and what I was attempting to do that it became apparent to me that, I really had a lot to offer other people, just simply by speaking out, and talking about the things that I knew and that I not only knew, like as in knowledge, but things that I had applied to my life that made me the wise, well-balanced, very healed person that I am. And, it was, it wasn't a matter of getting people to listen to me. They simply did listen to me because of what I was talking about. And because I obviously not only put the knowledge that I had, to use, which is, applied knowledge is wisdom, but also, that I had sustained and maintained this amount of joy while homeless, with not a lot of money, and I mean, not a lot of food, really no reason to be joyful, not by the world's standards. I didn't have any home, I didn't have anybody in my life, and going through these holiday seasons, I think this is, the 6th or 7th year that I've been alone through the holidays. I mean, as in no support, no, nobody to call, nobody to say like, hey, I'm having a hard time. There was no one. And so I kept relying on myself and God and my dog to, to get myself through things. I didn't have anything or anyone else. I really didn't. And, I kept believing in myself. I kept going back to myself because there wasn't anyone who knew me as well as I did. There wasn't really anyone who could help me as well as I knew I could help myself. And, I mean, I've always had a very brilliant mind and very strong, like, constitution, physically, mentally, and emotionally. So, I knew that about myself, but like, the believing in myself became essential to, would you back off, please? Back off. Became essential to getting through those hard times. Please stop. And not just getting through them, but growing through them. Not just going through it, but growing through it. It's warm sitting in the sun like this. So I kept going, and a year later, like, to be, like I said, like, to have that amount of joy and to, have completely sustained it and maintained it this whole time with no help, no medication. During that time I quit smoking. I smoke when I want to now. And like the other thing, and I wasn't even trying to quit smoking. I wasn't trying to quit taking any prescription medication, which I don't take any, and I haven't taken any for about a year now. My doctor told me that it would be very hard for me to get off the clonazepam. I mean, I had been on it for like 20 years. Just straight. Like, I don't think I had more than maybe a couple weeks off of it the whole time. 20 years. And I thought, I mean, because the withdrawals from benzodiazepines can be so intense and so hard on your heart, like in a physical sense, I really didn't ever believe that it was possible to get off of it. And I certainly didn't think I could do it on my own without, some kind of medical intervention. But like, I was wrong. And that, was a huge relief to me, of course. But nobody believed in me again. I mean, there really wasn't anyone alive to believe in me. But like, furthermore, my doctor told me no, that you shouldn't do that. And it was like, I wasn't asking her permission. I wasn't asking for permission. I was simply reporting what had happened to me. And so, because of that, I mean, I wasn't supported through it. I didn't have a therapist. I didn't have a doctor, what is the word? Monitoring my vitals, nothing. I didn't have anything, but I had my faith, and I had, my faith in myself, my faith in God. And I kept choosing faith over fear again and again. And like I said before, like, not in a religious standpoint, I never believed that religion could get me through any of it. That's not what helped me. God helped me. That's what helped me. It wasn't about religion. It has nothing to do with religion. God is not to do with religion. I know that sounds kind of weird, but it's just simply the truth. Religion is a man-made construct that people attribute God to, and that's just not the truth. And at 31:31 on the clock, when I said that, it gets really tiring and tiresome to have people believe and constantly make this like intrinsic value between religion and God, and it's just like not there. It's just not there. God doesn't have anything to do with religion. Like I said, that's a man-made construct. So, and when you start to understand the importance of that in your faith-based life, you start to realize that you can make it through anything. And you don't need a church, and you don't necessarily even need other people, because they really can't help you. People can show you what they did. People can kind of point the direction, point the way that they went and things like that. But ultimately, at the end of the day, it's up to each one of us individually to help ourselves. And when people don't empower each other to do the things that are right for them, that are good for their bodies, good for their minds, good for their hearts, their emotion, their mind-heart connection, exercising every day, meditating every day, praying every day, reading faith-based material, whether it's the Bible for you, or whether it's, Upanishads or Vedas, or, whatever it is, sutras, it doesn't matter. There has to be something to hold on to, spending time in nature, grounding yourself, understanding how frequency and vibration is everything. And, using certain breathing techniques that will get you through the rest of your life. But most people they don't teach that. And so, it becomes this kind of like self-fulfilling prophecy, and this cyclical, mess, that people go through every year, and time after time after time, and they don't actually ever completely heal, because they're not given the skills that they need to do that, to heal themselves. And like, that's a frustration of mine. I remember feeling frustrated, as going through my 20s. I had quit taking medication at the age of 25. And I wasn't supported in any of this either. I was told, in fact, that I was nuts. I was told that I was crazy, and that I was doing the wrong thing, and that I was hurting my family and myself and my friends by quitting taking medication. But I also knew that medication had never helped me, that it in fact made a lot of things worse. And also exacerbated a lot of the symptoms that I was experiencing, and also had triggered these unaliving attempts. I mean, like half a dozen of them, like no joke. I mean, I nearly died a couple times. I was put into a 7-day chemically induced coma to maintain my brain function, because I had overdosed my body so hardcore on medication that I was told, I mean, I wasn't awake, but my family was told, and the last time my family and everybody around me, my friends and everything, was told that I wasn't going to survive it, and that if I did, I was going to be like horribly, mentally, like irreparably screwed up. 34 on the clock when I said that. So, and that didn't happen. So, and I, you know, after all the things I had been through, I'm like, again, I'm not advocating that anybody just stop taking their medication. I'm not advocating any of that. I'm simply relating to you what I went through and what I did for myself. And, you know, even at the age of 25, I still didn't have the empowered, you know, part of myself to believe. I knew that what I was doing was right, but I didn't like have the knowledge behind what I was talking about, what I was experiencing, to relate it to other people necessarily, not as well as I would like to anyway, or that I would have liked to have been able to. And that was, you know, at the age of 25, that's when I started doing the dual diagnosis support groups. And although I knew very little about addiction other than to cigarettes at the time, I knew what it was like to be dependent on something that kept me under its thumb, that didn't want what was best for me, and in fact was trying to destroy me. And, you know, I knew what that felt like. I knew what the toxic relationship between dependency and lack of independence was. And you know, this thing, you know, I mean, for me it was, you know, it was cigarettes, but like, you know, it was also the psychiatric system and like, you know, psychological aspect of, you know, trying to get better, but like not getting better and not being supported through that by my therapist, by my doctors, my psychiatrist. Nobody supported me, not my friends, not my family. And, you know, like having to continue going back to those, like basically going back to my abusers, those abusive relationships, because I had no one to support me, and not realizing that I didn't need anyone to support me, that the fact that I supported myself was plenty, that I was enough, that it was enough, and that I had had enough of this, you know, crap that I had been through. And so, you know, I kept plugging away, and finally at the age of 44, you know, after like going through a lot of other things, a lot of other, you know, key elements to my healing were part of that. But finally at the age of 44, being able to implement all the things that I knew, all of the experiences that I had been through, all of the things that, you know, that I had learned, and actually being able to put them into practice, and, you know, using my experiential knowledge to turn it into wisdom and to actually heal myself, it made all the difference. And so just, you know, if nobody's told you, you know, that you can do it, you can do it. If nobody's told you that they believe in you, I believe in you. If no one's told you that you're enough, you're enough. If no one's told you that you're loved, I'm here to tell you that you're loved and that you can do it. And you know, I'm evidence of that. I'm one of God's walking, talking miracles. So, you know, if I can do it, you certainly can do it. And I don't think, you know, people don't support each other enough through, I mean, we support each other, but we support each other in, you know, ways that we think are supportive that actually aren't. And it's a very disempowering experience for most people. It was for me, very disempowering. And you know, I would like to be the opposite of that. I would like to empower people and teach them and show them the skills that they need to get themselves through it. Because really at the end of the day, we're only responsible for ourselves, and we really can't save anyone, including our own children. We can't save them. We can't. And as much as we support them and everything else, as much as my mom supported me and helped me, at the end of the day, it was me living inside my own head, and no one could save me but myself. And that was both like a really empowering thing to know, and also like very scary and kind of hopeless at times. But I stuck with it. I didn't give up. And I stayed brave, and I kept applying my courage. You know, courage and bravery are not the absence of fear. It's being scared shitless and doing it anyway. That's what bravery and courage is. So, you know, hey warriors, keep going. It's not the end of your life. It's not the end of the world. It may feel that way, but you can't always trust your feelings, especially when they're so changeable. You know, they change. You know, 5 minutes, you know, ago, you might have felt like, you know, you're on top of the world, and, you know, in the next moment, you might feel like you just want to end it all. So, you know, and, you know, understanding those things about human nature really gives us the power to help each other through our experiences. And really, you know, because we're all spirits living out, you know, a human life in a human body, you know, when we empower each other's spirits to do what seems impossible, we really can't, you know, we really actually do make a difference in each other's lives, and we actually do help each other in that way of, you know, being the example. Because, you know, I always found that being an example was the best way to help anyone. You really, you know, if you're influencing anyone through manipulation or just telling them how to do it, it often doesn't work. But being an example is a powerful thing. So I don't know who needed to hear that, but I hope that it helps you get through your day today. So love, blessings, and compassion to everyone, literally. Take care of yourselves, take care of each other. No one can do it for us. Stop, baby girl. So stop, Mia, stop. Stop. Stop, baby. Stop, honey. Shh. Stop. So, you know, take it easy on yourself. Take it easy on the people around you. You know, add more love to your recipe, and keep going, because there's no one like you. No one can be you. No one can fill your place on this earth. You're special and more valuable and beautiful than maybe you could possibly imagine yourself to be at this moment. Please. So keep going, and you're gonna make it. Bye for now.